Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today, I want to talk quickly about Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods. I watched a Netflix documentary about Tiger Woods, and as you know, Tiger Woods has made a lot of money, and I'm going to break down some of that. I want to talk about the financial dimension of Tiger Woods, as well as Netflix's decision to kind of throw Tiger's father under the bus. So, you guys know I'm going to give you the Dr. Boys breakdown. So, get comfortable, buckle up a seatbelt. We're going to get started on the Black Financial Channel right now. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm your friendly neighborhood finance professor. On the Black Financial Channel, we talk about black wealth and black economics every day, sometimes as much as 10 times a day, under one condition. The condition is that we are B1. B1 means black first. Black first means we put our community at the top of our priority list. Black first means we educate our children. Black first means we love our women and love our men. Black first also means we build our community. We believe in black excellence. If you agree, if you are okay with black excellence, if that doesn't bother you, they put a hashtag B and the number one in the chat, hashtag B1. Intelligent black people are taking over, in case you didn't get the memo. So let me ask you all a question real quick. Give me a yes or no. How many of you, thank you, Chris, coming up. I see your comment. I appreciate that. How many of you have happened to have seen the Tiger Woods documentary on Netflix? There's a documentary about Tiger Woods. I don't know what it's called. I assume it's called Tiger Woods or something. And it's on Netflix. Give me a yes or no if you've seen it, heard about it, thought about watching it. What do you think? I mean, has anybody seen it but me, or what do you all think about that? Okay, so I'm looking to see if anybody else has seen it. Okay, it looks like a couple of you have. Okay, good. All right, so here's the deal. All right, so what I want to talk about with Tiger Woods and this Netflix documentary is an interesting angle on family and black men. And you guys know this is the Black Financial Channel. And so I always make sure we tie in the economic angle. And that's very easy for me to do. My doctorate's in economics or finance, actually. So I can specifically tell you exactly where this impacts, what the financial angles on this story are. But also there's a deeper angle that is economic, but it's deep. It's bigger than economics. And it has to do with the black family and what happened to the black family. As I mentioned to you guys before, the multi-trillion-dollar wealth loss of the black community of the last 40, 50 years. The trillions of dollars in wealth that you've lost in the last 40, 50 years, largely, a lot of it has come from the destruction of your families. You guys know in the Dr. Boyce Book Club, we meet every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. You can go to boycewatkins.com if you'd like to join. You can join the live book club meetings for free. We meet tonight at 8:30. One of the things that I was reading to you guys about was I was reading to you 85 laws that were created to basically control black people. These are laws that you'll never learn about in school. These are laws that they passed years ago. These are laws that were designed specifically to make sure that they were able to exploit you and to keep you powerless and subservient. So one of the things about the laws was that there was specifically laws designed to make sure black people did not work together. There were laws designed to make sure that families didn't form any sort of power base. And a lot of this is linked to what has also occurred with the vilification of the black male. White media will typically almost never, ever, ever portray a black man in a positive light unless he fits specific categories. The categories he must fit into are he must be some sort of athlete or entertainer, or if he is a comedian, or if he is a gangster rapper thug that's fulfilling every racial stereotype that they have, or if he's ignorant. Ignorance will get you a long way in white society if you are a black man. If you are intelligent and serious and looking them in the eye and demanding things for your community, that's not going to fly. They're going to get mad at you. So with that said, though, I saw this documentary and it made me think about that. Now, let me just tell you about Tiger. First off and foremost, I am not an apologist for Tiger Woods. I'm not here to tell you that Tiger Woods is a wonderful guy. I'm not here to tell you that Tiger Woods is just this perfect human being. I'm not here to tell you that there you go, or if he's gay. There you go. Thank you, Sister Shay. I forgot about that. Lil Nas X will always have more money than me because Lil Nas X, by presenting himself in a feminine capacity, is pretty much a non-threat to white supremacy. So that pretty much gets him in the door, and that's fine. It's life, right? Now, so here's the thing. So here's the thing with Tiger Woods. I'm not here to tell you I think Tiger's great or perfect as a person. He's not. This man has made a lot of mistakes. He has made a lot of choices I wouldn't make. He's just marrying those blondes alone is something that you would never see me really sign up for. I'm not making fun of it, but it's just not my style. And then I was real disappointed with the involvement of drugs and alcohol and things like that, and then that stuff that happened with his wife. Sleeping with all those porn stars. I mean, that's just flat out dangerous. If you want, you don't sleep with porn stars without protection, unless if you want to live. Like, that's just kind of a weird way to live your life. But here's the deal. What I noticed in the documentary, and I want to connect it to a broader trend of the Black family and the destruction of Black wealth through the annihilation of the Black family, is the way they talked about Tiger Woods' father. Now, they talked about Tiger Woods' father in an interesting way. Now, if you don't know anything about Tiger Woods' father, Earl was a former Green Beret who did 2 tours in Vietnam. He was a very tough, mentally tough man. Earl had a very unconventional set of methods to train Tiger to be the best golfer in the world. He had a plan. He had a big plan to make sure Tiger Woods dominated those white boys, which he did. Tiger Woods would go out. If you're not old enough to remember, Tiger Woods would go out and it would be Tiger against 149 white dudes. And almost every single time, Tiger would destroy the field. Like, Tiger annihilated them. He would beat them by unbelievable margins. He was breaking records that were 250 years old. He was doing things that they didn't think a human being could do in the modern era. I mean, Tiger was a beast. He was a tiger. And a lot of that came from his father. And his father saw the vision very early. His father was a great visionary. His father, at the age of 12, 13, his father would say, hey, my son's going to change the world. And so that puts him in the category of other great Black fathers who have also guided their children to extraordinary outcomes. Top of the list would be Richard Williams. Richard Williams used to say that Venus and Serena were going to be the greatest tennis players on earth, and they became the greatest tennis players on earth. Some other great father visionaries that were out there that have kind of a mixed legacy might be like a Joe Jackson. Joe Jackson lived in a little tiny matchbox house in Gary, Indiana. He had a plan for his children. He had them practicing and working hard. He had to work hard to keep them out the street. He had to be a strict disciplinarian to make sure his kids didn't end up dead or in prison. And he succeeded at that. So I could keep going down the list of a few other examples, but I won't. I just want to make that broader point. So in this documentary, I found it really interesting that they laid out Earl Woods in a way that almost seemed to go back to that standard theme of toxic masculinity. And I remember noticing they would say things like, Earl Woods, he always had a plan. He had a plan. Earl Woods had a plan. And I was like, oh Lord Jesus, what was it? A Black man with a plan for his family? Oh Lord, he need to go to jail for that. Black man ain't supposed to be planning for nothing. Black man ain't supposed to be planning for next Tuesday. He had a plan for his children. Oh, Jesus God. Like, they really talked about it. They would be like, Earl Woods, he had a plan. He had a plan. He was planning this all along. And I'm like, of course he was. You don't become the greatest on earth at anything if you don't have a plan. What's wrong with a Black man having a plan? Oh, I get it. You're not used to that. You're not used to Black men planning dominance. You're not used to Black men planning success. You're not used to Black men planning legacy. You're not used to Black men planning the same way Bill Gates had a plan. Give me a yes or no. How many of y'all think Bill Gates has a plan? Like, give me a yes or no. Bill Gates, one of the richest men on earth. How many of y'all believe Bill Gates has a plan? Still gonna always have a plan. Been having a plan. Been playing. He planned the plan. Give me a yes or no. How many of y'all believe Elon Musk has a plan? He's the richest man on earth. How many of y'all believe Elon Musk got a plan? It had a plan that allowed him to become the richest man on the planet. Give me a yes. How many of y'all believe Jeff Bezos has always had a plan? How many of y'all believe Jeff Bezos still has other plans on top of the plans that he already planned out and executed? Right. So where I'm really trying to get you, I want y'all to really see this subtle point. And this goes back to the vilification of the Black father to push him out of the Black family, because to hold up this heroic image of the single mother doing it all by herself, because the men are garbage and the men are sitting around drinking liquor and smoking weed or doing whatever the hell they do, right? And being gay or whatever they think Black men are doing, right? This is important, because what happens is that when they vilify your men and they present black men with a plan. Oh Lord Jesus, that's worse than beating his woman. That's like he beat his wife. That's as bad as molesting your kids. Is you got a plan, right? When they vilify solid black men who have a plan, what they're doing is they're creating a narrative that says that the black man is better off outside of the home than he is inside the home. I say this, I'm sensitive to this because my father had a plan for us. That's why. And here's the thing. Here's what's interesting. This is the point that they miss, and they're gonna miss it because they're white. White people don't get this. But I can just tell you that a black man must have a plan for his family, because if you don't have a plan, then your children will get caught up in all the nonsense. Your children maybe they would have felt better if Earl Woods had no plan, or maybe he abandoned the family and Tiger grew up and ended up getting shot in the hood. Maybe they would feel better if Earl Woods had no plan and Tiger Woods got a 40-year prison sentence for slanging cocaine. Maybe they would feel better if Earl Woods had no plan and his son ended up out on the streets. Then they could say, oh, these poor babies, these poor black males, their fathers aren't helping them, and that's why they end up in these terrible situations. So white people ain't really going to get this. They don't understand that it's necessary. It's absolutely positively necessary for a black father and parent and mother as well to have a plan for their children, in order for their children to get away from all of the stuff out here that's destroying black kids. My father was just a little bit like Earl Woods, very mentally tough. He wasn't a Green Beret, but he did serve in the military. Shout out to all the veterans in here. I have so much respect for you. And my father always had a plan for us. And the big part of that plan was, I'm going to keep my kids away from the streets. Do you understand that there were children that I grew up with, that I played with every day, who got prison sentences for slanging dope? Do you know that there were children I played with every day who are not on this earth anymore, who are dead, who died at an early age? My best friend got shot in the head in front of his daughter. Do you know that there were friends I played with every day who are so cracked out that they don't know what day of the week it is right now? And this wasn't just a couple. This wasn't one or two. This was the majority. The majority. So in the middle of all this, my father and mother raised 3 children, one of whom is me. I'm the college professor. My sister is the medical doctor, and my brother is an entrepreneur who went to an Ivy League school. How do you raise 3 children like that in a chaotic environment where everybody's failing all around you? Everybody's failing, but somehow you were able to rise up out of the storm. I mean, was it just because they prayed to Jesus every day? Was it because white folks came along and created an opportunity for us? No, it was because he had a plan. It was a plan. This did not happen by accident. This was not luck. This was not some divine blessing from God that saved us from the storm. I'm not making fun of you if you're religious, but that's no. God rewards those who do the damn work. He rewards you more if you do the work. People who do the work and make a plan tend to be the lucky ones. They're the ones who get lucky. Right? So a lot of y'all are lucky, and a lot of you have friends and relatives that think you were lucky, but really it's because you had a plan. Your plan was, I'm gonna make sure I get lucky by making sure I prepare in advance. And I talk to my 11-year-old every morning, and I say, what are the 3 P's of success? She says, preparation, practice, and persistence. And she recites that like the back of her hand, because I want her to have this in the back of her subconscious, so that when she hits the storm and life, it gets hard on her and the world is on her shoulders, she can go back to the basic 3 P's of success and prepare herself to be successful. Because I got a plan. I talk about my 11-year-old like she's going to be the greatest thing on this earth. I talk about it like that in front of her. I will tell her, people in front of her, how great she's going to be. I do Earl Woods every day with my little girl because I got a plan. So what they did in this documentary that was really fascinating to me, and Netflix should be kind of ashamed of this. You can tell the documentary is not authorized. Tiger's not in it. The person that they're leaning on for most of their references for Tiger's life is some random guy that they refer to as a family friend. Well, when you're famous like that, you got 1 million family friends. Like I got there's probably like literally 1,000 people that you can find in my life who you could label as a family friend. who maybe met me or knew me for a couple of years, who can sit down and make money in an opportunistic fashion by claiming that they understand the life of Boyce Watkins. But guess what? I don't got that many close friends. I don't have that many people in my circle that I really talk to. So and Tiger's kind of the same way. So this documentary was a little bit bogus to begin with, but I could not help but notice how they were portraying Earl Woods and vilifying the fact that he had a plan for his son. They were like, well, Tiger was his creation. He wanted to control everything. He blah blah blah. Well, let me just explain this to you. Another so-called allegedly toxic black man who had a plan for his children was Joe Jackson. Joe Jackson always had a plan. He always had his kids practicing extra hard, had them getting ready to be the best in the world. And a lot of people vilified Joe Jackson as well, the same way they vilified Earl Woods. It's a pattern, it's a theme. They did the same thing to Richard Williams. They vilified him. Well, you got to understand the common factor that not Earl was, but Joe Jackson and Richard Williams were dealing with is that their children were growing up in the hood. Their children were in the hood. Venus and Serena were right in the middle of South Central. Do you know how many ways they could have died on a daily basis? Do you know how many situations they could have got caught up in? Were they swinging from the stripper pole or hooking for somebody or banging out on somebody? Like, do you understand what it was like to raise black daughters in the 1980s in South Central? My Lord Jesus. Like, it's a freaking hellhole. And you must have a plan to get your children out of that. So this idea, go watch the documentary. It's real interesting because they kept saying, Earl Woods planned this. He had a plan. Well, Joe Jackson also said, I had a plan for my children because I didn't want them in the street. Do you know how hard it is to keep 8 or was it 9 kids out of the street in Gary, Indiana? A place where people die every day just because it's a Tuesday? I was in Gary. I drove through Gary about a week ago. And I said, man, there is nothing here. This place is, I love Gary. Don't get me wrong. I got a lot of folks in Gary, but my God, it's like, woo, this is a sad, depressing kind of place in some respects. And I hope Gary makes a comeback. And my wife is from Gary. So my point is to say that, when they vilify black men who achieve extraordinary things and they do it in a way that they don't do to white men, that is a subtle form of racism that causes you to reject your men, which is ultimately a rejection of family. In order for black people to ever have any wealth in this country, you will never have wealth with a whole community full of broken families. You will never have wealth where you are glorifying the guys like Future with 8 babies mamas, but you are vilifying and laughing at guys like Russell Simmons who take care of Russell Wilson, who are taking care of their children and being there for their kids and raising them in a stern yet nurturing environment where they're going to grow up and do amazing things. You can't have that. When you are glorifying the things that are killing you and vilifying the things that are giving you life, then guess what? You're going to end up with nothing but death and devastation all throughout your community. And that's what you're seeing all around you right now. So with this documentary, here's the deal. Tiger Woods, his lifetime earnings are about $2.1 billion. His net worth is about $800 million. Tiger will die a billionaire. None of this would have been possible without his father being present and pushing him to the highest levels. Now, is there a high price Tiger has paid for that? Absolutely. Tiger did not get a chance to be a well-rounded person because it's hard to be well-rounded and be the greatest golfer in the history of the planet. Did Tiger Woods make some mistakes when it came to women? Absolutely. A lot of men do. I know broke men who make terrible mistakes when it comes to women. So at the very least, if I'm dealing with my mistakes, I'd rather be dealing with them with $800 million in the bank than to be dealing with them with $800 in the bank. Right? Did Tiger Woods also get into some awkward situations? The man's been arrested. Yes, all these things have occurred. But at the end of the day, this idea that somehow his father was more of a liability than an asset, or that somehow you wanted him to be, or he would have been better off just being mediocre, just being a mediocre black man, ended up in jail or dead or unemployed or whatever. That is an interesting take on things, and it's something that I want you to be very sensitive to and pay attention to. It doesn't mean that you have to sit around and hope that white people start telling the story differently. They're not really not going to, not in the next 100 years, they're not going to tell that story differently. The black man, especially when he presents himself as intelligent and strategic and strong, is almost never going to be seen in a favorable light. The black men that tend to be seen in the favorable light are the ones that are presented as children, as feminine, as weak, as unstrategic, who are in bad situations, because then they can feel sorry for you the same way they feel sorry for a child. A child is not a threat. To dominate. A child is not a competitor. A child is not somebody who might come along and do a takeover. But a strong black man with a plan, oh, now that's some scary stuff. That's the gangster right there. That's the real. Those are the real gangsters. Are the black men who got a plan, who are preparing their children for the future, who will sit down with you and not be intimidated by you. So the other person that I would throw in this category, in terms of just general themes of black males, I wrote down some names that I thought about that are connected to this way Earl Woods was portrayed in the Tiger Woods documentary. I thought about Joe Jackson. I thought about Richard Williams. Those are obvious connections. Some less obvious connections might be LeVar Ball, who has two sons that they have the big baller brand with the sneakers and everything. And LeVar Ball has also been portrayed in a negative light in the same way as Richard Williams and Joe Jackson and Earl Woods, as crazy and everything else. But you saw what LeVar has done. He put all these sons in the NBA, and the family's doing extremely well. A couple that are a little bit further away from this core, but I think are still connected in specific ways, might be the way the media has portrayed Kanye West and Bill Cosby. Now, Kanye West, as you see, he's not a father, but he's a black male who has talked about things like black family and black children and being a black man, and that right there is leading to him sort of being vilified, kind of in the same way that they're sort of speaking about Will Smith. I don't agree with what Will Smith did. I don't think Will Smith should have slapped Chris Rock. I'm just going to say that I don't think that was the right move. But then again, I don't know what's going on in his life. But if you notice, there's a lot of talk of that toxic masculinity talk always kind of pops up. And what I notice is that you don't really see that kind of talk about white women. I don't really see a lot of examples where mainstream media is really picking up on the toxic behavior of white females, or the toxic behavior of white males, or the toxic behavior of anybody other than black men for the most part. And then the biggest one that I think it really is interesting to me is the way Bill Cosby's whole situation is portrayed. Again, I'm not an apologist for Bill Cosby. I cannot explain everything Bill Cosby was ever doing inside a bedroom. I don't know why Bill Cosby was in the Playboy Mansion. I can't talk about Bill Cosby's life for the last 50 years. But what I can say is that at least with the Bill Cosby, the conversation was not nearly as nuanced as it needed to be. Bill Cosby is either a good man who did some bad things, or he's a bad man who did some good things. And what I've noticed with the black community is that we're able to acknowledge the good. We tend to be able to acknowledge his good while also acknowledging that he might have been bad. We're also able to do little things that white folks don't tend to be able to do, which is to understand that in America, you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, right? And so evidence is required in order to destroy a man's legacy or send that man to prison. White folks in general seem to have forgotten that. They only remember that when it comes to their people, but they forget it when it comes to yours. So with Bill Cosby, where I would compare him to an Earl Woods is that he's also, again, when he was on his game, when he wasn't running around with whatever women he was doing, whatever he was doing with, he was a man that also had a plan for his family. He was a man that became very successful because, he had a plan. He was strategic. He was very thoughtful. He's very intelligent. He encouraged black folks to make good decisions and things like that. So even Bill Cosby can be lumped into that, not because Bill Cosby is a good or bad person. That's your decision. You can have whatever opinion you want, but I'm talking about the way the media has presented him. It reduced him down to a one-dimensional villain, right? That's what I mean. He's a one-dimensional villain. He's not the multi-dimensional guy who did a lot of good things and then did some things that we don't like. No, he's one-dimensional. He's bad. He's evil. Everything he did is worthless. He's garbage. We should destroy him and act like he never existed. You got to be careful about that, because remember, Bill Cosby, again, with all his flaws, he was an advocate for family. Even if he wasn't practicing that in his own life, I don't really care so much about what you do in your personal life. I'm looking at what you're doing in public. Because again, you got it. Because I can tell you got the reverse happening in a lot of your hip hop music. You got some of these rappers that are super intelligent, smart people, made straight A's in college, and then they present complete ignorance and self-destruction to young black men. Well, I'd rather have a dumb person who pretends to be smart than a smart person who pretends to be dumb. Because a dumb person doesn't know how dumb they are. But a smart person, you know what the hell you're doing. You know what you're faking. You know what you're pretending to be. So Bill Cosby, in my view, pretty much told millions of black people on a regular basis, it's okay to be smart. It's okay to be black and intelligent. Black and intelligence, that's an asset, not a liability. And those are basic ideas that I think the community does not get enough of. And that's something that I personally want to advocate for every single day. Every time you see me, that's what I'm going to bring. And y'all know me. I've been doing this for the last 10,000 days in a row or something. I don't know how many days it's been, but y'all been seeing me every day for about 10, 12, 13, 14 years, however long it's been. And I'm not going to stop because this is what we have to do in order to win. Okay. All right. So anyway, guys, that's it. That's all I really want to share with you. Also, I want to remind you, don't forget the All Black National Convention is at the end of October. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because for today and tomorrow, you can get your tickets for 30% off. So if you wanted to get your passes and your money's tight, you might want to go lock them in now because for the next 2 days, they'll be 30% off. We're going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina, October 28th through October 30th. You can go to boycewatkins.com and take a look. Or if you're on Instagram, you can hit my link in the bio. All right, guys. So I'm out of here. Hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe before you go. I will talk to you soon. Have a great day. Love you. Peace.